morning, everyone. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you to introduce you to the equation of a line. Okay, so the famous equation of a straight line is y equals mx plus c. Now, what do these letters tell us? Let us start with the letter y here. What does this y mean? Okay, this y is basically the y coordinate of a point. Let me remind you that when you write down a coordinate, you write it in the form x, comma, y. Okay, therefore this y shows you the y value of this coordinate, right? So basically our y here, okay, represent the y coordinates. So that is our first letter. Now, what about, let me skip M and C for now. What about this X? What do you think this X means? This X, okay, represents the X coordinate now of a point, okay, this value of this coordinate. So here our X, okay, it represents our X coordinates. Okay. So those two, we have already seen them in previous examples. Now, the new the new ones are M and C. Let me start with M here. What does M represent? Okay, so the M here represents the steepness of a line. Okay, in other words, we call it the gradient of a line. So let me show you a bit what do I mean about the steepness of a line. Okay, so here there is the GeoGebra. You can find it online. You can easily use it. Okay, it is very easy. Let me show you an example here. So imagine I have y, the graph equation y equals 5x. And here you have drawn your y equals 5x equation. Okay, so as you can see, this is how steep the line is. If I add another equation, so look carefully of what is going to happen. If I add y equals 10x, what can you see here? So this line, okay, this line has a gradient of 5. Okay, this red line is representing the first one. The second line, which is this one, the orange, is representing a gradient of 10. So what do you notice here? That whenever you increase the value of your gradient, the more steep the line becomes. Okay, so this has a gradient of 5 and this has a gradient of 10. Let me add another example. For example, I have a line with a gradient of 20. So y equals 20x. What do you notice here? That this line is more steep than these two lines. You see, first of all, I have increased the value of the gradient. The value of the gradient is the value, the coefficient which is found with the letter x. So this gradient is 5, which represents this one. This gradient is 10. This is the second line. And this gradient represents 20. Okay, so if you increase your gradient, if you increase your m, the more steep the line becomes. Okay, so that is basically the gradient of a line. The last letter of our equation is called C. Now, what does C represent? C represents basically the y-intercept. Okay, let me show you what is the y-intercept. First of all, do not mix the y-axis with the y-intercept. They are not the same. So, what is this y-intercept? Let me show you here. So, as you can see here, these three lines which I have plotted before, they all cut my y-axis at 0. So basically, my y-intercept here is 0. Okay, so what is the y-intercept? In other words, it is the point of which my line graph is cutting my y-axis. So this line, the vertical line, you should know from before, is called the y-axis. The point that my line is cutting the y-axis is called the y-intercept. Let me show you other clear examples of the y-intercept. Imagine I have the graph y equals 4x plus 3. Okay, so here my gradient, the number with the x is 4. Okay, so this line has a gradient of 4. However, my y-intercept is a positive 3. Now, why is this? If you can see here on your graph, the line, okay, this line is touching your y-axis at 3. You see, that is the y-intercept, the point where it touches the y-intercept. Let me show you another example. Imagine you have y equals 4x minus 4. Okay, so it produced this line. First of all, as you can see, these two lines, they are parallel to each other. Why is that? Because they have the same gradient. You see this gradient and this one, they are both 4. However, the intercepts are different. Okay, both lines cut the y-axis at different points. The second line I have drawn, okay, it cuts my y-axis at minus 4, okay, at this point, right, as you can easily find it from your equation, okay. So the first line, the y-intercept of the first line is positive 3, okay. The line is cutting the y-axis at positive 3. The second line is cutting the y-axis at negative 4, which is this one. So basically that is the y-intercept. Okay. I hope you like this video. Okay, thank you for watching, um, and see you again next time.